there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is good, wrestling fans? It is your boy, the SoCal Saint, back at it again with an all-new edition of the IE Elite Wrestling Show. It's your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports, and I'm talking about IE Sports Radio. What is going on, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening live. If you're listening live on Spreaker, welcome. I do appreciate it. If you're listening on the downloads, if you're listening on YouTube later, or if you're listening later on Apple Podcasts, thank you. I am your humble host, the SoCal Saint, and we got a little bit of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff went down this past weekend. 3 big events took place. NXT Battleground, AEW Double or Nothing, and, of course, WWE Night of Champions. And that one I definitely want to spend some time talking about because some big, big, dramatic turns took place at Night of Champions. If you're listening live, if you're listening on the download, you see the title of this episode is A Chief Without a Tribe. And that is in direct reference to what took place at Night of Champions, but more on that later. I always like to start this show off with a little bit of wrestling news, so this is what we have going on so far in the world of professional wrestling. Just a little bit of news, not a whole lot to get into, but I just wanted to just bring this to your guys' attention, fans, if you're keeping track and just listening in for whatever wrestling news is coming your way. Your boy, the SoCal Saint, is the one that brings that to you. This past weekend, during NXT Battleground, it was announced that NXT's next big premium live event will take place on July 30th, Sunday, July 30th. It will emanate live from Cedar Park, Texas. That's about 2 hours away from where I stay here in Fort Worth. It's going to be taking place in Cedar Park. I'm trying to look for the arena that's listed for Cedar Park. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's called the HEB Center, or the HEB Arena in Cedar Park, Texas. HEB, I don't know if they have any of those in California, to be honest. I know they're spread out around here in Texas. It's a giant Costco-like grocery store. Yeah, so the HEB Center in Cedar Park, Texas, Sunday, July 30th. It will be NXT, the Great American Bash, in the tradition of WCW. That was one of the big WCW pay-per-views that used to take place in the month of July back in the day. NXT carrying on that tradition with NXT, the Great American Bash, taking place live July 30th from Cedar Park, Texas. I do not have an on-sale date for tickets as of yet, but I'm sure they will be going on very, very soon. And as soon as I know, fans, you will know, because I will be the one letting you know. So that will be the next big NXT event. Tonight on NXT, if you plan on watching NXT tonight, big main event match has been announced. They have been talking about it for weeks, or at least over the last week. Excuse me. But they've been on a collision course for weeks. The former members of Toxic Attraction, Jacy Jayne and Gigi Dolan, will be battling tonight in the main event of NXT in a weaponized steel cage match. I'm sure you're probably thinking to yourself, what does that mean? Well, plain and simple, it's a steel cage that's going to have all sorts of weapons strung around the fence walls of the cage. Whatever is in the cage is free to use on your opponent. That's going to be the big main event tonight, live on USA NXT, the weaponized steel cage match between Jacy Jayne and Gigi Dolan. And also, apparently, the identity of the woman that's been attacking numerous NXT women's superstars in the parking lot of the Performance Center every single week for the last few months will finally be revealed. The rumor going around is that it's former NXT UK superstar Blair. I think she used to be known as Bea Priestley. I actually don't know what her NXT name is. I want to say it's Blair. Wow, God, I think it starts with Blair, but she's formerly known as Bea Priestley. But that is who I believe is the superstar that will be revealed as the attacker of these women that has been going on for months and months and months. So you want to tune in to NXT tonight to check out that and the big main event weaponized steel cage match. Some more WWE news. If you're going to be in London, England, Wolverhampton, wow, that's a fucking word. Wolverhampton, Manchester, or Glasgow, they have announced dates for another round of The Undertaker's One Dead Man shows. Yes, the Phenom, the WWE Hall of Famer, legend in the world of professional wrestling, The Undertaker, is going across the pond to London and the United Kingdom for these shows. It's going to be June 2nd. June 2nd is when the tickets start going on sale. This is actually going to coincide with WWE heading to London for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which is going to be taking place at the O2 Arena. So these are the upcoming locations. Once I know the actual dates, because the dates that are listed here are incorrect. For some reason, they're not right. I don't understand why. Okay, here we go. For some reason, they have it backwards. I don't know how they do it in the UK, but they have the day and then the month instead of the month and then the day. So I do apologize. He's actually going to be coming to the UK in July, but the tickets go on sale June 2nd. Wow, way to fix that, SoCal State. That's a little advice talking to myself. So the first date will be July 1st in London, at the Indigo at the O2 Arena. That's where the Undertaker's first stop will be. Then, and on July 2nd, it'll be the Civic at the Halls in Wolverhampton, UK. And then July 3rd, it will be in Albert Hall in Manchester. And then finally at the O2 Academy on July 4th, Independence Day, Glasgow, UK. The American Badass is flying across the pond for a 4-day tour with his One Dead Man show. So if you are a listener that's listening live overseas in the United Kingdom, first off, cheers and thanks. And secondly, if you want to see the Dead Man live, this is your way to do it. Tickets go on sale this Friday, June 2nd. And it's already, we're going to talk about Night of Champions, but WWE's already gearing towards the next big pay-per-view, which, of course, is WWE Money in the Bank. It's going to be taking place live in the O2 Arena in London, England. And we already have two men's superstars already set for the Money in the Bank ladder match on the men's side of things. Last night, Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Bronson Reed to advance to the Money in the Bank ladder match, and Ricochet defeated The Miz to find his spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So far, Shinsuke Nakamura and Ricochet have qualified for the Money in the Bank ladder match. This following Monday night on Raw, it will be two qualifying matches for the women's superstars for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Becky Lynch will go one-on-one with Sonya Deville in a qualifying match, and Natalya will go one-on-one with apparently Trish Stratus's new protege, Zoe Stark, in a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank ladder match. So that's two big matches already announced for next week's Monday Night Raw, as the road to Money in the Bank has just started. And I just want to say congratulations to WWE superstar Alexa Bliss and her husband Ryan Cabrera. They have just announced that they are expecting their first child to be born this coming December. Yes, Alexa Bliss has been off of WWE television since her loss to Bianca Belair at the Royal Rumble in the Raw Women's Championship match. A lot of us fans were probably thinking, what's going on with Alexa? I guess apparently this is what's been going on. She's been taking some time off to start a family, and that's exactly what her and Ryan will be doing this coming December. Alexa Bliss and Ryan Cabrera, congratulations to you both. And that's not the only baby news we got this weekend, as during the big Four Pillars World Heavyweight Championship match at Double or Nothing, Sammy Guevara and his wife, AEW women's wrestler Tay Mello, announced as well during his entrance that they too are also expecting their first child. Tay Mello pregnant, and Sammy Guevara a father-to-be. Congratulations to both couples in both companies starting young, beautiful families. That's awesome to see. Congratulations to them both. And speaking of AEW, what a nice little transition there. Got a little bit of AEW news. If you watched Dynamite this past Wednesday, it was confirmed what we all expected. Another worst kept secret in wrestling. So it's got to be without a guarantee, without a shadow of a doubt. If this does not happen, man, they have lost the audience for sure of anyone tuning in live to Collision week in and week out, because you're just teasing us at this point. But it was confirmed by Tony Khan himself that that the debut episode of AEW's new show, Saturday Night Collision, on June 17th, will emanate live from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. The biggest thing to take away from this is that this all but confirms the return of CM Punk to AEW, who's been out of action since All Out 2002 due to an injury/suspension. Because not only did he get suspended because of the brawl that took place in the backstage area between him, Ace Steel, and the Elite, Punk actually injured he actually tore his tricep in the match that he won the AEW World Title in that night. So Punk is now fully healed. Punk is all but confirmed. I mean, it's another one of those worst-kept secrets, just like whenever Rampage debuted. It was called The First Dance. It emanated from Chicago, and Punk returned to professional wrestling on the very first episode of Rampage. It looks like they're going to try and do that again with the very first episode of AEW Saturday Night Collision, June 17th. So I guess we just have to look forward to that. And I think since it was guaranteed to be at the United Center, confirmed to be at the United Center in Chicago, I feel like what I've been seeing is that ticket sales have started to steadily go up for Collision, because at first it was not looking so good. Now ticket sales are starting to a little bit rise for that show, which is a good sign. It all but confirms that CM Punk is a draw. So whatever issues are going on with Punk and the company and whoever inside the company, they need to suck it up. And for the betterment of the company, this is what needs to be. Maybe it's not the greatest thing in the world. Who cares? Punk brings attention to the product, and he also brings dollars. And you know what dollars make? Dollars make sense. And some tidbit news. The next big pay-per-view for AEW before the big Wembley Stadium show, All In, it will be Forbidden Door 2, AEW and New Japan's Pro Wrestling's joint show. Forbidden Door 2 will be taking place live on pay-per-view June 25th, 2023 from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. No matches have been announced thus far, but some wrestlers have already been ruled out of the show due to promotions they're affiliated with. At last year's event, Andrade couldn't work the show because NJPW wouldn't let him on the card after CMLL said he was a AAA wrestler. New Japan Pro Wrestling has a working relationship with CMLL, which is a rival promotion in Mexico to AAA. Andrade originally worked for CMLL before going to WWE. Once he left WWE, he didn't go back to CMLL. Instead, he signed with AAA and AEW. In October 2021, New Japan Pro Wrestling reportedly prevented Will Ospreay from working the MLW with MLW Major League Wrestling on a Mexico tour. An exception to the rule is the likes of Kenny Omega, FTR, Sammy Guevara, who have also not just wrestled for AEW but also AAA and have been champions there. On the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reported that several wrestlers are not expected to be on the card due to this issue. The list of AEW talent which could be prevented from appearing at Forbidden Door 2 would be as follows: Bandito, Vikingo, Roosh, Commander, Penta El Zero M, Rey Fenix, Andrade, Dralistico, and probably others who aren't expected to be allowed on Forbidden Door due to New Japan's strong ties with CMLL. The rules are different if you're a Mexican, and that is how Dave Meltzer put it. Not me. That came from Dave Meltzer. So, if you're expecting to see some dream matches between New Japan Pro Wrestling talents and certain AEW superstars of the Latino persuasion, you're probably out of luck, guys, because they're affiliated with AAA and not CMLL. That's a little crazy to me. You know, that's just how wrestling business goes sometimes. That's the politics of professional wrestling. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, as they put it. And this is a pure example of that. It is what it is, I guess, to do business. And if New Japan, if AEW wants to keep an open relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I guess this is just what they have to do. You know what I mean? That's it is. Yeah, Larry, the head honcho of IE Sports Radio, Larry B, is in the chat room listening, and he says, "Wow, what the crap." I know, man. I know. I feel the same way. It doesn't really make any sense to me, especially if they're AEW talents. They should be allowed to be on the show. And it shouldn't have to matter what other company they're also affiliated with. But wrestling politics, man. It is what it is, I guess. You know what I mean? It just seems to fall into that weird realm that doesn't make sense to outsiders of the business. And it definitely is. Yes, I agree with you, Larry. It definitely is taking away wrestling from the fans, especially those talents. Especially I would say Penta El Zero M and Rey Fenix, who are two of the best luchadors that AEW has, especially and Andrade. For those who don't know, if you've been sleeping under a rock for the last 3 or 4 years, Andrade is the son-in-law to the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, the husband of Andrade is the husband to WWE superstar Charlotte Flair, the Queen herself. So to take away from him not being on the card because he's been off of TV for quite some time, it doesn't, it just. That's why I just want to see Andrade get out of that fucking company already, man, and head back to the WWE and be with his wife and under the tutelage of Triple H again, because I feel like Triple H would do a better job at pushing him than AEW has. He just turned into another name that Tony Khan could sign and say, "Looky here, look who I got now." And 2 weeks later, he was like, "I don't know what to do with you," which seems to be the MO of Tony Khan. But more on that later. So that's the last little bit of AEW and just wrestling news in general for the time being. We're going to take a short little break and we'll get back into it. When we come back, we're going to go over this past weekend's big events, NXT Battleground, AEW Double or Nothing, and of course WWE Night of Champions. We will be right back. Stay tuned, guys.
Are you a Minnesota sports fan? If you are, you should join me, AJ, on my Thursday night podcast called Frozen Takes with AJ on IU Sports Radio. I talk about all things Minnesota sports, from the Vikings to Lynx basketball. Every week I talk about the good and the bad of sports in the land of the Frozen Lakes. Join me Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for your Minnesota sports show on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What is going on, y'all? I am back. It's your boy, the SoCal Saint, back at it again. If you just tune it in, we just went over a little bit of stuff, little wrestling news, little tidbits here. The last thing I was discussing was several of the Lucha Libre talents of AEW will be restricted, definitely, if not just outright banned from performing at the next big pay-per-view event for AEW, which is the AEW/New Japan Pro Wrestling co-promoted event, Forbidden Door 2. And Larry B and I are actually, while you were listening to the lovely and awesome drops that we have here, commercials for our other great shows here on IE Sports Radio. In particular, the last one was for Fast Break with Davison Crooks as one of the hosts. You can follow both Davison Crooks at Spawn4288. That's Spawn, like the superhero, 4288. That is Davison Crooks' official Twitter handle. And, of course, the show Fast Break at Fast Break IESR. That's at Fast Break IESR. Yes, so me and Larry were just talking about it in the chat room there. That, it's definitely taken away chance once-in-a-lifetime dream matches that you could potentially have. Like, I would love to see Penta L0M going one-on-one with the likes of, say, Will Ospreay or Kazuchika Okada. Hell, even Hiroshi Tanahashi. Maybe even have a mismatch, like have Minoru Suzuki and Penta go at it. The high-flying style versus the Japanese strong style. Those two clashes in styles could potentially create just an awesome, fantastic match that the fans just go nuts for. We talk about it, and I talk about it like this. Like, a lot of wrestlers and fans talk about wrestling as a work of art. The quote-unquote, no pun intended, the canvas of the ring is like a canvas for these artists, the wrestlers themselves, to paint a masterpiece in, and the masterpiece being the match. And for us to be robbed of that opportunity is, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow sometimes for professional wrestling fans. I know that was one hard pill to swallow because they were in the company at the same time, and WWE didn't even capitalize on this back in the day. The dream match of all dream matches that probably could have fucking sold out many times over. At WrestleMania 8, what everyone wanted to see was Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan. The two of them in their prime, at the top of their game, both within the same company, main eventing a WrestleMania. That was a huge dream match that we never got in WWE because apparently to Vince, the matches that they were having on live events weren't that great. I don't know. I don't personally know. I haven't spoken to anyone or seen any reports from anyone who actually saw any of those matches live that say that could agree with what Vince was thinking or disagree. But that was Vince's mentality, and that's why we got WrestleMania 8, which ended up being Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ric Flair for the title, and the Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice in a grudge match. And that's probably one of the worst WrestleMania cards ever. It had its highlights. I mean, there's a great match between Bret Hart and Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental title on that show, but I digress. Another time that we should have got a big match at a WrestleMania that we never got, and this recent memory would have been WrestleMania 31, just a few years ago, more than a few years ago, almost 10 years ago now, 2014, 2015, 2015. Sting was in the company now, was in WWE, and I know we all said it for years, it should have been Sting versus The Undertaker, and we never got it. Instead, we got Sting versus Triple H, and Sting doing the job for Triple H, and The Undertaker wrestling Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt doing the job for The Undertaker, a year removed from Undertaker losing to Brock Lesnar for the very first time at WrestleMania, where the streak was no longer mattered. So I feel like Taker should have been put in a better position after losing to Brock Lesnar, and I feel like that dream match between Sting would have been it, but apparently it was just never on the cards. So that's another one there that's still I'm still salty about that we never got, was Sting versus Undertaker. And we never will, because Taker is retired, enjoying retirement, as he should. It's well deserved. He's more than had his fair share of battles. He's taken his fair share of bumps, and he doesn't owe the fans anything. I don't blame Taker, and I don't blame Sting. That wasn't their call for the match to happen or to not happen. Let's move on. So this past weekend, there was 3 big pay-per-views that took place. The NXT Battleground, and we had AEW Double or Nothing, that both took place this past Sunday. And, of course, Night of Champions took place this past Saturday. I'm actually going to take it backwards, because I want to start from Sunday to Saturday, because the big story is what took place at Night of Champions, hence the title of my episode this week. So let's jump into it. We'll go into Double or Nothing first, because honestly, I didn't watch it. I didn't have $60 just to throw away on a pay-per-view, to be quite honest. For a company that claims to be for the fans, as an alternative, they surely don't alternate that fucking price, I'll tell you that. But anyway, the buy-in, which I did watch for free on YouTube, on their official YouTube page. Of course, AEW Double or Nothing took place live at the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada, which is a suburb, apparently, of Las Vegas. But it was very Vegas-y themed, Double or Nothing. They have the chips, a lot of the sets design has a lot of poker chips, and that whole Vegas vibe, the gambling and the pageantry and whatnot. So the first match that took place, which was on the buy-in, was the Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy, and Hook, with Isaiah Cassidy in their corner, defeating Ethan Page and the Guns, Austin and Colton Gunn, via submission. Since the Hardys and Hook won the match due to a pre-match stipulation, Matt Hardy has now taken ownership of Ethan Page's contract. So I guess we'll see in the coming weeks how that plays out on AEW Dynamite, Rampage, and soon-to-be Collision. And in the first opening match, when the pay-per-view started, it was a 21-man blackjack battle royal for the AEW International Championship. Orange Cassidy outlasting 20 other superstars, last eliminating Swerve Strickland to retain the AEW International Championship. And in the next match, it was an unsanctioned match with Sabu as the special guest referee. Adam Cole, baby, with Roderick Strong in his corner, defeated Chris Jericho with the JSA, the Jericho Appreciation Society, in his corner via referee stoppage. I heard and read a lot of stuff about this match, that this match shouldn't have even been unsanctioned. I feel like they were kind of treating Adam Cole with kid gloves still, because he's just now coming back from that terrible concussion and the post-concussion syndrome that he was suffering. So they didn't really go all out like a lot of people expected them to do in this unsanctioned quote-unquote match. And it ended up being, the end of the match was Adam Cole was just pounding Jericho with punches over and over again. The referee felt that Jericho had had enough. He wasn't defending himself, and they stopped the match. And that's how that match ended. Kind of I feel like that was a big wet fart of an ending for that match. Just kind of, wow, all that build up just for that. But Tony Khan's Booker of the Year, guys. Thumbs up. Tag team title match was next on the card for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Mark Briscoe was the special guest referee. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, FTR, successfully defended their tag team titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal when Mark Briscoe was struck in the head with a guitar by Jeff Jarrett. The FTR took advantage, defeating Jarrett and Jay Lethal by hitting the Shatter Machine, or they call it the Big Rig now as a tribute to the late, great Brody Lee. Mark Briscoe took the cover, 1, 2, 3. FTR still champions. Ladder match for the AEW TNT title. Wardlow defeated Christian Cage to retain the AEW TNT title in what I heard was just an okay ladder match. And for the Women's World Championship match, a whole 3 minutes. Yes, that's what it says here, guys. A whole 3 minutes and 5 seconds for the Women's World title. But AEW was going to be the future, right? AEW was going to be the future in high regard for women's professional wrestling, right? 3 minutes, guys. 3 minutes for the Women's World Championship match. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm shaking my head in disappointment. But Toni Storm defeated Jamie Hayter to become the new AEW Women's World Champion. Okay. Open house rules match for the 6-man... said that wrong. Open house rules 6-man tag team match for the AEW World Trios Championship. The House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews defeated the challengers who answered the open challenge call. The Acclaimed, Anthony Bowens, and Max Caster, and Billy Gunn by pinfall to retain their AEW World Trios titles. And for the AEW TBS Championship, Jade Cargill defeated Taya Valkyrie to retain the AEW TBS Championship. And shortly thereafter, Jade Cargill put out an open challenge to anyone who could step to her. And it was a surprise entrance of the returning Chris Statlander to Double or Nothing, who then went on to defeat Jade Cargill to become the second ever AEW TBS champion in 48 seconds. Jade Cargill lost the title and therefore gained her first loss in the company. She is now 60-1 in AEW. And Chris Statlander is the new AEW TBS champion. And which I thought was going to be the main event, but apparently not. This was the second to last main event match, the 4-way pillars match for the AEW World Championship. MJF successfully retaining the AEW World title over Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I did hear that this match was very well received by the crowd. It was a good match from what I've been reading. I will try to find it and actually watch it myself. But that's what I've heard. I did see some clips from it, and it did look like it was a pretty outstanding match between these four guys, these four young guys who AEW has been building since the start of the company. And it's great to see that these guys got to shine in a world title match with each other. And in the main event, the Anarchy in the Arena match, the Blackpool Combat Club, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, and Ring of Honor Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta defeated the Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Adam Page via pinfall. A lot of crazy spots happened in this match from what I could see. I was looking at it on Twitter. Apparently, they shoved a mouthful of tacks in Matt Jackson's mouth. Yes, thumbtacks in Matt Jackson's mouth. And he was then hit with a European uppercut to the jaw with the mouthful of thumbtacks. He was dropped foot first without a sock on, barefoot first on just a pile of thumbtacks. There was an exploding super kick. Yes, an exploding super kick that Matt Jackson gave to Jon Moxley. When he kicked him with a super kick, a fucking firework apparently went off in Matt Jackson's foot right in the face of Jon Moxley. Just fucking crazy, ridiculous shit took place in this match. And it all came crashing down on the Elite when, out of nowhere, I'm trying to remember his name. God, see, I don't even remember his name. He's a new cat in AEW. What is his name? He's a young Japanese superstar from New Japan Pro Wrestling that's now a part of AEW. It totally escapes me. I do apologize. You can tell I haven't really been caring about it, to be honest, just because it's just I don't know what is going on with AEW lately. It's just not holding my interest like it did when it first started, because it was awesome. It was the cool new thing in town, and now they're settling into their 4th year in business, and I just feel like they haven't gotten any better. It's just been stale. So yeah, that was Double or Nothing, guys. That was the results for Double or Nothing. What I did watch, in fact, while I was in between calls at work, because I was at work, was the awesome NXT Battleground, which the crowd was just awesome. The show was great from top to bottom. Every match on the card was fantastic. I cannot say enough about how great of a show this was. NXT really showing out at the Tsongas Center in Lowell, Massachusetts for NXT Battleground. And it started with Wes Lee successfully defeating Tyler Bate and Joe Gacy to retain the NXT North American title, and in doing so, set a record now set forth by him in the WWE and in NXT. He is the longest reigning NXT champion with the most successful title defenses in NXT North American title history. And in a second match, which I thought the fans wouldn't get behind this match, but they did, especially with the odd rules. It was a British Rounds rules match for the NXT Heritage Cup. Noam Dar defeated Dragon Lee to retain the NXT Heritage Cup in 5 rounds. The British Rounds rules go as such. It's 6 rounds, 3 minutes each. If your opponent is either knocked out or cannot continue before the 6 rounds are up, then the match is stopped, and the winner automatically is the current cup holder. And it actually went over well with the American crowd. The British Round Rules match, I was actually invested. It was a great little thing, because it's like they got going and it would stop. It was almost like watching a boxing match in wrestling. But I know boxing matches, rounds usually last, I would think, a little longer than 3 minutes. It was great to see. It was definitely different, and sometimes different is good, especially when it seems like everybody has done everything in professional wrestling at least once. And in an awesome last man standing match, Ilja Dragunov defeated Dijak. These guys really, really went at it. Dijak hit a nasty kendo shot to the ribs and midsection of Dragunov while he was in the corner. Dragunov, that guy, man, his move is crazy. It just gives that pop that the fans love, because his move is basically a running battering ram headbutt out of nowhere. He can hit that out of nowhere, and the way he does it, it just shows such force, and just, man, he just knocks the hell out of you when he does that. And it's just a great looking finisher. These guys really beat the living crap out of each other. Just fantastic match overall. Definitely, I would watch this match again. NXT Tag Team Title match. Gallus, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang with Joe Coffey in their corner defeated and retained the titles against the Creed brothers, Brutus and Julius Creed. Great match between these two young teams. Gallus still on top of the tag team division in NXT. I don't know who could challenge them for the tag team titles next, but I guess we'll find out who their next challengers will be this coming Tuesday. Today, excuse me. It is Tuesday. This Tuesday on NXT. And we have a new NXT Women's Champion. Tiffany Stratton defeated Lyra Valkyrie in the tournament final to win the vacated NXT Women's Champion when she hit the BME, I don't know what you call it. I would say, because she's so beautiful, the beautiful moonsault ever, the best moonsault ever. It was awesome. It was a very beautiful moonsault that she pulled off. 1, 2, 3. Tiffany Stratton is your new NXT Women's Champion. And in the main event, definitely the best match on the card, as it was the best match on the card at Stand and Deliver during WrestleMania weekend. Your boy, he don't miss because he is him. He don't miss. Carmelo Hayes retained the NXT title against Braun Breaker, and Melo had another epic entrance, of course, at this show. I hope Larry B is still alive and listening, because he definitely gave some props to his hometown, because this was his hometown show. Melo is a Massachusetts boy, so he gave some love to all the champions sports teams of Massachusetts when he, instead of like he did at NXT Stand and Deliver with the jerseys on the screen, you got an NBA championship, a Super Bowl championship, a Stanley Cup, and oh god, I forgot what the other a World Series championship. Wow, I couldn't think about it. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it was an NBA title, an NFL title, NHL title, MLB title, and then dead center just before Melo made his entrance into the arena, right in the dead center, in between all those beautiful trophies on the screen, the NXT Championship appears on the screen. Awesome. Just awesome. It was cool. Just showing love. Boston, Lowell, Massachusetts. Massachusetts in general is a championship state. Boston, definitely a championship town. You got the Celtics, you got the Bruins, you got the Patriots, and you got the Red Sox. You know, and now you got Carmelo Hayes, who is still the reigning, defending NXT champion. These guys really put it on the line. It was a great match, back and forth. Melo took a lot of abuse from Braun Breaker. Of course, for those who don't know, Braun Breaker is the nephew of Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner and the son of the dog-faced gremlin Rick Steiner. He comes from wrestling lineage. He is a Steiner, so I wouldn't expect nothing less from someone cut from a cloth of a Hall of Fame tag team such as he. And Carmelo Hayes putting it all on the line there. They had this really great spot where Carmelo went for a springboard. It looked like he was going for a cross-body block, and Braun caught him in midair with a spear. I thought that was it for Melo. I thought he was about to lose the title in his hometown. 1, 2, boom. No. Carmelo Hayes kicked out of that, and he was able to hit his alley-oop leg drop from the top rope onto Breaker. 1, 2, 3. And Carmelo Hayes is still the NXT champion. That's something that the Boston crowd could celebrate since the Celtics didn't win. Oh, yeah, I went there. I went there. I don't care. Sue me. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, that's the only thing that made me feel better about the Lakers losing, was to see the fucking Celtics lose. I didn't want to see those bastards make it after we lost. You can tell I'm still salty about that, can't you? I'm sure you can. Oh well, whatever. We're going to take a short little break, guys. But when we come back, we're going to talk about Night of Champions. Stay tuned, guys. It's the IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports, IE Sports Radio.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, guys? It's your boy, the SoCal Saint, back at it again. That was a nice little commercial for one of the best shows here on IE Sports Radio, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show with Taryn Rodriguez. You should definitely check that out. So, I talked about AEW Double or Nothing, and I talked about NXT Battleground. Now we're going to talk about the head honcho that took place this past Saturday night, of course, in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, from the Jeddah Superdome. That is WWE Night of Champions. So this is what went down at Night of Champions. I actually got to watch the show in its entirety before I went to work. Thank God, because I really wanted to pay attention to the show and as a whole. It was a great show from top to bottom. And due to it happening in Saudi Arabia, I was able to see it live since it was, the time differential helped with that. So the opening match of the night was actually the tournament final for the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship, which was contested between SmackDown's AJ Styles and Raw's Seth freaking Rollins. And it was Seth freaking Rollins defeating AJ Styles to become the World Heavyweight Champion. And the crowd sang his praises. That is Seth Rollins' theme song. That's how you sing along to it. If you haven't heard it, check it out, guys. It's probably one of the best theme songs right now in WWE, to be honest. Seth Rollins is the World Heavyweight Champion. That's awesome. Proud to hear that. He was my pick from the start, and I'm glad that Seth Rollins is now the World Heavyweight Champion, and we have a World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw. In the next match, Hall of Famer Trish Stratus defeated Becky Lynch by pinfall after the interference of Zoe Stark, who was hiding under the ring and hit Becky Lynch with a knee to the face, causing her to look like she broke her nose because she just started bleeding everywhere. And Trish Stratus was able to beat Becky Lynch 1-2-3 in Saudi. And it looks like Zoe Starks is now the protege to Trish Stratus. And in an awesome Intercontinental Championship match, Gunther defeated Mustafa Ali to retain the Intercontinental title after a great back-and-forth match, which actually, I would say in defeat, it made Mustafa Ali look stronger because he put up a hell of a fight against the bigger, stronger Gunther. And in an awesome Raw Women's Championship rematch from WrestleMania for the Raw Women's title in a shocker, in a absolute shocker, after misting her own hand, it looked like, and then rubbing that mist in the eyes of Bianca, and then hitting 2 hard super kicks to the head, Asuka defeated Bianca Belair to win the Raw Women's title. The long, historic reign of Bianca Belair has been ended by the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. And in a fast match, a dominating performance, Rhea Ripley defeated Natalya to retain the SmackDown Women's title in 1 minute and 10 seconds. Rhea is being pushed to the moon, and she is being pushed as a dominant women's champion. Let's just put it that way. And in the semi-main event, Brock Lesnar defeated the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes by technical submission, and it was definitely a page out of WrestleMania past, with Brock Lesnar putting on the Kimura armbar lock on Cody, but Cody hung in there, did not submit, and passed out from the pain, and the referee just had to give it to Brock Lesnar because Cody could not answer the 3 count from how they used to do it back in the day, where they lift the wrestler's arms 1, 2, 3, and if they don't respond or stop their arm before it hits the mat, that means they're out and the match is over. So Brock Lesnar defeated Cody, but Cody never gave up, and due to that reason, this past Monday night on Raw, Cody came out and issued an open challenge to face Brock Lesnar one more time. So hopefully we'll get to see Lesnar and Cody go at it one more time in a rubber match. And finally, the main event, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, to retain the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles, but that's not it. That's not all what happened. During the match, the Usos showed up, Jimmy and Jay, and they went to super kick Kevin Owens and ended up super kicking their own little brother, Solo Sikoa. And when this happened, Roman Reigns just had enough, and he started berating both Jimmy and Jay, particularly picking on Jay, especially pushing him, face palming him. He was just face washing Jay, and out of nowhere, boom! Super kick to the face of the tribal chief from Jimmy Uso. Jay's looking at Jimmy like, "What did you do? What did you do?" And you can see Jimmy grab Jay, and he goes, "I did what you should have did a long time ago, and now I got you, Uso." Boom! Second super kick to the face of Roman Reigns, and he's rolled out of the ring. The Bloodline appears to be no more, and it was with that, Solo Sikoa was hit with a stunner and a haluva kick from Sami Zayn. 1, 2, 3. Owens and Zayn still tag team champions, and Roman sat on the ringside area in disbelief. A chief without a tribe, just like Cody predicted all those months ago. The Bloodline appears to be in disarray, if not completely over. And this is what I love about professional wrestling. Long-term storytelling at its peak. And right now, nobody's doing it better than WWE, guys. You gotta suck it up and just admit it. Because this has been one of the greatest storylines they've done in a long time. And I am just totally invested, as should anyone else, if you're a fan of professional wrestling. I can't wait to see what happens this coming Friday night on SmackDown, when Roman, Solo, and the Usos are all again under one roof. Oh, man. Well, that's it, guys, for us today. I'm so glad you guys tuned in. Thank you to Taryn and to Larry B for tuning in also and listening, and Larry for talking to me in the chat room. I do appreciate it. If you're a fan, please follow me at IE Elite Pod. That's at IE Elite Pod is my Twitter handle. Follow IE Sports Radio at IE Sports Radio. And check out our website, iesportsradio.com. Links are in my bio on Twitter. And follow us on Spreaker as well, and on Apple Podcasts. And YouTube as well. This has been the IE Elite Wrestling Show. Your direct feed for all that is your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling. And on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports, IE Sports Radio. I'll see you guys next week. Deuces.